Hey everybody, and welcome back to Ask Devan Anything, where you get to ask Devan, me, anything you want. It's usually family, it's usually business, it's health and wellness from mental, emotional, physical standpoint. It's just life in general. We are all going on this journey together, and Burn Bootcamp exists to help you not just inside of the four walls of our gym, get your physical fitness on, but I want to help you translate that. I want to help you create and maximize that mind-body connection, right? To take what you do in the gym and then translate that to the rest of your life. And so every year, as I approach the new year, I don't buy this whole anti-trend thing of like you shouldn't reset yourself in a new year. I just want to propose maybe a different way, a different perspective, all right? New Year's resolutions, they got to go because they have such a bad connotation with them. They just got to go. It's just an arbitrary goal that you're setting just because it's New Year's, and that is not what we're doing, okay? What we are doing is we are setting a yearly outcome, okay? I was in Alabama for 2 days. I sat with the teams ahead of a noon camp that I trained from about 11:30 to 11:45, and I started breaking down what this actually means. And what I told this group was, hey, listen, my outcome for this year overall is to make sure that every person that I come in communication with or contact with, that I'm a better human being and that they are a better human being for having had that interaction. Like that, to me, is a noble outcome that I can keep with me throughout the entire year, and it will compound my character over the years. So if I just focus on that one simple thing all year long, and that's going to really make me hyper-focus on my relationships and how I communicate, and that will then translate into me becoming a more sophisticated communicator and in turn being able to impact people's lives, okay? And so, yes, I do want to have an outcome, but we can ditch resolutions. I'm perfectly fine with that. Now within that outcome, I do have 6 buckets. And I've talked about my 6 buckets before, but one of those buckets is my routine and my ritual. So I update this about every quarter, and it's about time for me to come back and update this with you again, give you the update. People want to know, Devan, how do you do it? What's the routine like? How are you building this family and this business? It's an impressive thing. And my response to that is I appreciate that. Thank you. I've worked very hard for it. It's not easy. It's definitely a journey of self-awareness. Which is, to me, the elephant in the world. The self-awareness leads to accountability. And when I look around, I don't see a whole lot of accountability. Do you? You don't really see it a lot out there. And so for me, my routine, my rituals are ingrained into that accountability, which then also leads to me having to analyze my routine. What's working for me? What's not working for me? Not make it so rigid that it's not flexible and that it can be malleable with the way that my life ebbs and flows. And like I said, not rigid. Okay, well, what's the opposite of rigid then would be fluid. So I want a very fluid schedule. I want to make sure that I'm updating it all the time. Not that I'm updating, that's maybe a bad choice of words, but that I'm compounding these updates over time, meaning that if I institute one thing, all right, I'm not so rigid to where I can't say, oh, that was the wrong thing to institute and roll it back and stop doing that. But also fluid enough to say, hey, what are the things that are working and how can I get better at this one element of it? So I'm going to take you through one of my 6 buckets, and that's my routine and my rituals, okay? So the first thing that I do, get this in the morning, the very first thing that I do is wake up. So we wake up. All right, well, what time do we wake up? We wake up contextual to when we as individuals need to wake up to accomplish the goals that ultimately will help us get to the desires that we have for ourselves. So I don't have a time for you. I can only experience share. I cannot give you advice. I can only tell you what I do. So please do not take this as some guy standing here just giving you a bunch of advice on what you should actually do, because that's not the business that I'm in, of giving other people advice. I am experience sharing with you. So I wake up. When do I wake up? I wake up at 4:15 pretty religiously. That's a.m., by the way. 4:15 a.m. pretty religiously. And I like the term pretty religiously, right? Because it's like religious means by the book every day, and pretty religiously gives it a little leeway, right? Because I don't want to be so rigid. So does this change? Rarely. Rarely. This is one of those things that I have done this for a very long time. There's been periods of time where I don't execute as well as I would like to execute. And so I don't beat myself up because I'm not executing. What I'm actually doing is analyzing. I'm analyzing, not beating myself up. I'm analyzing and saying, okay, if I was, this is self-awareness, right? If I was Devan, and then I had another version of Devan over here, call this the shadow version of yourself. And the shadow version of myself was outside looking in at how Devan is interacting with his environment, right? This person, this shadow Devan, is actually my critic. It's the person that's going to analyze my moves. It's the mindset I get myself in when I kind of play back the tape of what's happening for the last quarter with my routine. And so as I have Shadow Devan sitting here and I ask him, hey, why aren't we executing? Why aren't we getting up in the morning when you said you were going to get up in the morning? And the Shadow Devan says, well, because you're getting comfortable. You're getting comfortable with the fact that you're able to get all the things done in a day, but you're leaving out the most important reason, Devan, why you love to do this, right? The reason I love to get up first thing in the morning before everybody else, not that I, need to grind my face off and, work 18 hours a day every day and, none of that stuff. It's so that I can feel fulfilled. It's so that I can feel, your routine should fulfill you. It shouldn't imprison you. I need to feel fulfilled by the routine that I have. And for me, I'm a high-level competitor. And if anybody that knows like the true pure essence of me, like my one downfall might be that I'm like ultra competitive and I want to beat you in everything. Like we play pickup basketball, like I want to run up and down that floor and I want you to score 0 points and I want to score 15. Like I don't want you to have any points, right? Not in a detrimental way to where I want to tear other people down, but I just want to be the best, or at least have the opportunity to be the best in my vertical, in the position, the industry, the vertical that I've chosen. I want that opportunity to be the best. And my belief is that I'm not taking advantage of my opportunity that I have. I'm not maximizing that if I'm not out training, out working, out hustling, out competing. Everyone, okay? Everyone, not just, I don't want to really even compete, right? When I say compete against everyone, that means dominate. So, right? So I want to dominate this industry that I'm in. And I think those who have ambition should have an aspiration to dominate, right? Because what are you competing for, right? It's not that you tear other people's buildings down to build the biggest building. That means you have no self-esteem, and that you need to bring other people down a level that do have self-esteem in order for yourself to feel good, or at least this is how I conceptualize it. But by saying, hey, I want to compete against you, but I also want you to win. Like I also want you to take wins, and I don't want you to just take L's. I want you to win, but when you're playing me, I want to win, and I want to win more than anything else. And that is why I get up early in the morning, first thing, so that I can feel fulfilled. I can have the confidence knowing that I'm doing everything possible to align my actions, okay, with the words. Okay, I need to align my actions with my words. And if I'm going to say I'm a high-level competitor, and I'm going to say we want to go to 10,000 locations and take this company to the moon, and we're going to change the paradigm of the fitness industry along that path, along that journey, well, I better not sleep until 8, because there are so many talented organizations, there's so many talented people that I can't afford to do that if I'm going to call myself a competitor. Again, this is my routine, this is my personality, my psychology, and not necessarily yours, but I hope that you can take a few nuggets away. So the first thing I'll do, by the way, I wrote about this in Stop Starting Over. When I get up, it's 4:15. There's no snoozing. You just go. Do I snooze every once in a while? Yes, I snooze every once in a while. But if never 2 days in a row, and I'm going to wake up, I'm going to take that Ignite. I put 2 scoops of our pink lemonade, Burn Nutrition Ignite, already pre-mixed right next to my bed. I don't press snooze. I turn my alarm off. I wake up. I slam that, and then it's impossible to go back to bed. And then I'm using that same pre-workout, that same energy caffeination mechanism to then start my pre-workout, right? Start my pre-workout. I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna take my pre-workout, and I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna get my fitness on. We were just in Alabama. We get up, same thing in a hotel room. When you have these non-negotiables in your routine, it doesn't matter where you're at. I can be anywhere in the world. It's 4:15. Actually, in Alabama, it was 4 because we needed to leave by 4:20, all right? And I told my team we need to leave by 4:20, and I know my team, and I know they're gonna be outside in the car waiting for me at 4:17 because they have that level of respect for the grind, and I better not be late. So I gotta adjust, and I gotta get up early so that I can respect their grind, all right? So I'll either go work out at camp, or I'll go work out in the lab, which is the Burn Boot Camp innovation lab at my house upstairs in one of my rooms there. And I turn it into basically, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this or checked it out. I post some stuff on Instagram quite often. We do a lot of trainer talks in there and things like that. I'll go into the lab and I'll do some compound strength training. So I still like to strength train, but then I'm also gonna go to camp 3, maybe 4 days a week. So I'm working out 6 days every single week, with the exception of a few here and there. And I'm splitting it up between camp and I'm splitting it up between compound strength training. So that 7th day, I'm not always getting up early on that 7th day. That's the day where we do get to sleep in. Our kids get up, they're not allowed to get out of their rooms until 7. So like at the very latest, 6:50 is when I get up on that off day. I think, you know what I'm going to try to do this year, though, as I talk about fluidity and not holding yourself so rigid inside of a schedule. I think what I'm going to try next quarter is getting up at the same time every day. I've historically tried to do that. It got too rigid for me, and it wasn't the time in my life. I needed that extra day to feel like I could get a little rest. So there's nothing wrong with having, you know, a routine on a weekly basis rather than only just a daily basis. Not saying like if you get up at, you know, early on Monday through Friday that you should also do that on Saturday and Sunday. You can, right, make this work for you and your life. Okay, so then I'm coming home. The first thing that I'm usually doing is I'm ideating, whether that's writing a post. I'm always on fire right after my workout. So I might write an Instagram post and I might catch a nice wave of inspiration doing that. I might sit down. We're writing a book right now. I've written a book in the past called Stop Starting Over as our debut. We're writing a new one right now, and we're deep into that. So every morning here's what I do. I'll either sit down and write an Instagram post, or I'll sit down and I'll write in Microsoft Word. When I sit down and write in Microsoft Word, I'll put one question at the top of the paper, and it's usually blank, and it's usually something that's really bothering me. It's really, really bugging me. And this is a new revelation for me. I didn't always think about, hey, you should write about what bothers you. I heard Dr. Jordan B. Peterson say the way that he gets some of his students to overcome themselves and to begin leading lives of responsibility is he has them write every morning, right? So I've been writing every morning far before I ever heard of Dr. Jordan Peterson. But what he taught me was write about what's bugging you. He said, when you write about what's bugging you, not only do you get back the mental capacity of that thing that's like eating at you, that's really meant to be a problem for you to solve. That's why it's eating at you. It's like, hey, you should probably start to solve these things that are bugging you. And so I'll pose it in a question. I'll put it at the top of a piece of paper, and then I will write for 30 minutes to 90 minutes. And okay, so right after that, I may go in the sauna. We just got an infrared sauna. This is a new thing. I haven't really integrated it fully into my routine yet, but I am hitting it like 2 to 4 times a week on average. I would like to make that more consistent, so that's something that I'll really work on. Now, all this is before my kids get up. When they get up at 7, all right, no, just pause there and imagine the feeling that you might have as if you're me and you're getting up and it's 4:15 and you go to the gym and you work out and you are taking care, you're drinking a lot of water, you're taking care of yourself, you sit down, you pose a question at the top of a piece of paper, you write about what's bugging you, you answer that question, and then the rest of your household gets up. For me, that's like the recipe for me to be in a good mood for the whole day. If I don't do those things and I let other people start my day, meaning my kids, those are my worst days. So back to shadow Devan, as I'm asking him the question, hey, what's the difference between the days I feel great and the days that I don't feel as good? And what he says back to me, if I'm trying to put myself back into that example of kind of talking to yourself, right? It's like the shadow version of me is like, well, if I were to analyze, here's what I find. When you take care of you first, everybody else in your life benefits from that. When you don't take care of you first, everybody in your life suffers from that. And there is no in between. There's no such thing as the middle ground. There's no such thing as life in the middle. All right? It's very, very, very important that I continue to remember that in my life so that I know that it's, hey, this is either really working for me and it's a hell yeah, or it's not working at all and it's a hell no. All right, so then after that, kids, they're up. All right, Morgan and I, we divide and conquer. We got zone defense, y'all. We got zone defense. We're playing 2-on-3 with the kids, and they're now 6, 5, and 2. And we got to make lunches, and we got to do breakfast, and we have an amazing nanny named Casey who helps us. All right, because she's just makes the ship smooth, right, and make sure our family has everything that we need all the time. We both work 80 plus hours a week every single week. And the time we're not working, we really reserve for our family, and Casey really helps keep our household going as we're doing that. Super grateful and blessed to have somebody. I couldn't do this without her, and I know Morgan feels the same way. So I'll either take kids to school, Morgan does, or Casey does. We do a rotation, and right after I take the kids to school, all right, the next 4-hour block, that's deep work. Okay, deep work. Solving the problem that is most difficult to solve that day. And I'll spend 4 hours on one thing. See, I think most people go wrong if I were to analyze how people could mistake movement for progress, meaning doing a lot of things but not necessarily gaining a lot of ground, would be a bunch of busy work or a bunch of light work for that first 4 hours a day, where you actually go out and you start to check off the boxes on your to-do list that are things that are easy to do, right? And I think for me that doesn't work because I need to make sure that I tackle the biggest problem in my life. So I flip those things upside down, right? I go eat the frog, do the hard thing first, and I nail my number one problem, the number one solve for that day. That's that first 4-hour block, okay? And then, hey, I got 90 minutes in the middle of the day where I might go on a walk, I might go on a drive and listen to YouTube, I might read a book, it is my halftime. It is my 90-minute break during the middle of the day. Mind you, I've gone from 4:15 now up to like noon, right? And that's a whole day's work right there. That's how many hours, right? It's 8 hours right there, right? Something like that. My math's off, check me. But right after that, okay, 90-minute period, I'm eating, right? I'm hydrating. I don't believe that I need to just grind all day, and then I get to the end of the day, my eyes look like crap because I haven't consumed any water. I got a little twitch because all I got is caffeine in my body, and I don't have any good nutrients to help me recover, right? Because I'm gonna need to recover for the next half of the day. The next half of the day is where the most important thing in my life lives. I got kids that I'm coming home to tonight, and we're gonna play, right? And when we play, I need to be just as sharp when we play as I am for my deep work in the morning. And so I gotta really make sure that I'm taking care of myself during the middle of the day. I may get an extra workout in if I feel like it, may go on a jog. Just give yourself 90 minutes for you, that recovery, okay? If you are into this type of routine this early morning, right? I don't go early morning and then go all the way through to 10 p.m. and not take a break, right? I think it's very important that you just take a break if you're gonna be that type of person that wants to feed off the energy all day long of getting up early in the morning and getting an entire day's work done before most people get up. All right, then I go into my second portion of deep work, Okay, this is where a lot of meetings happen for me. The first portion of deep work, that's a lot of me just doing work by myself. This is when I record. This is when I make content. Is when I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sharp. I'm here. I'm present. It's kind of solo things. And then I take the break. And then the next 4 hours of deep work, that is meetings. Okay, that is other people. That is helping out around the office. That is me. My most favorite question as I go around HQ and as I travel the country visiting Burn Nation to ask anybody is, hey, what are you working on and why is it important for the company that you're working on this? And that does two things for my people. It lets them tell me the things that are exciting that they're working on, that they're fired up about. And it also lets me know that I'm doing a good job of connecting that role or that position back to the greater mission. Because without my teammates, without our 5,000 plus team members in Burn Bootcamp Nation, we don't have a business, right? This is way bigger than just Morgan and I now. I am now the facilitator of the culture of the community, and I spend that next 4 hours. By the way, that's some of the deepest work that you could do. Some of the deepest work that you could do is human connection and really connecting in not a surface level, superficial way, but in a really deep way with the people that you love in your life. And one of those, and just an interesting little asterisk, and maybe some of you may take something away from this, but I think it's so important that when you are a leader of any sort, you're a leader of your own life, right? So everybody's a leader. You're a leader of your family. You're a leader of a community, of a business. When you're a leader, your job is to make sure that when you see somebody messing up, that you go and address that perceived mess up or screw up with that person right away, not later, right now, rush to conflict, speed to conflict. And there's a way to do that. We don't necessarily need to go into that, but one of the traits of a leader is to be able to have everyone around them know where they stand with you at all times. What happens if you don't address these things, and this could be in your family too, if some of you aren't in business, this could be, your son is not putting the effort into the thing he says he is most passionate about, and you have one of two options. You can either address that and hit that head on, or you can let that build up momentum over time to the point where it becomes this huge monster and it's a really hard thing to kill. If you are constantly killing the baby monsters around you, just little baby ones are much harder to defeat or much easier to defeat than the big monster after the emotional baggage, has gotten so big that it's weighs too much for anybody to deal with, right? And that's where you start to have relationship separation. That's where you start to resent other people. That's where you start to become bitter. And those are very, very dangerous states of being to exist inside of, right? Anger, bitterness, resentfulness. As a leader, you can't push people away when they're doing things that you don't perceive to be right. What's your expectation of them? You think they're perfect? You think they're supposed to do everything right all the time? You think they got their telepathic capabilities? You think they can read your mind? No, you are the leader. You are the parent. You're the one that has to make sure you bring up a hard conversation and that you settle the score right then in the moment all the time. So that's what I'm really doing in that second 4 hour block is I'm building my relationships. Back to my overall year outcome, right? Is to make everyone that I talk with better and myself better as well for having had that conversation. And in 8 times out of 10, that's me addressing something that I perceive they could be doing better, that them themselves would perceive as underachieving their own potential and making their family less proud of them as a byproduct. And isn't that what we all want? We want to make our families proud of us. Everything in life, okay, pain and pleasure all lead back to love. You do things for love, period. You do things for love, period. And so hold those relationships in your life very tight. The people that you say you love and that love you back, those are the people that you need to be honest, straightforward, transparent with, And if you're going to call yourself a leader, these are some of the things that you have to do. You don't have to do it my way, but you have to do it. You have to go in this direction, okay? All right, right after that, it's family time and food time. Thank the Lord. We like to sit around. I'm hungry by this time, guys. We get around the table, and we either Casey or Morgan, sometimes me, but very, very rarely, makes dinner. Although I have nothing against making dinner. If somebody actually asked me to, I would totally be like excited, right? And somewhat confused why they ask me. I think they don't ask me because I'm not that good of a cook. And I think they actually just want to eat really good food. I don't think it has anything to do with being a man or a woman or a husband or a wife or busy or not busy. It's just like, hey, bro, your food doesn't taste that good. I don't really want you to make my dinner tonight. So I just kind of know my role and make sure that family time is around food, okay? We want to be around food. We want to break bread together. I love my family. It's the purpose. It's the drive. It's the meaning. It's the responsibility. And now it's Burn Boot Camp was my first baby, and then Cam, and then Max, and now Ryan. And Morgan and I both feel this deep, deep, deep sense morally to give them the parents that we give them the parents that we have had and the ones we didn't have. Morgan lost her father when she was 5. Her stepdad Larry stepped in and fantastic job, incredible human being, and her mom was just a quintessential example of a hard-working woman who overcomes fear and then steps up to create 2 beautiful daughters who both go on to be super successful in their verticals. And then you have me, who my mother abandoned me when I was young, and my father and I have had just an estranged relationship for most of my life since I was about 12 years old. And so we find so much value. We find so much strength in personal worth and self-esteem in putting our family first, right? And showing the world. Here's the key right here. People do not believe that you can build a huge business, have a successful marriage, and then also pour into your kids and be there around every corner, every time they need you. And one of the things that I'm so excited about now that I am 10 years into this journey is to stand here and to share with you on how we've done that, what the strategies have been. And I refuse to accept that there's an ultimatum between building my career and building my family. My family is the driving purpose to my career. Those 3 kids and my wife, they are everything to me. And when I had children, my work ethic went through the roof. My business exploded. And they haven't seen daddy take even 1 step back from being their dad. In fact, I've taken more steps forward. I'm leaning into it. I'm going to the recitals. I'm going to the practices. I'm picking you up from practice. I'm going to the holiday cookie show at school. We're doing all those things, all right? And I'm not going to miss those. I will get a private plane and fly back from California so I don't miss a soccer game. This is how dedicated I am to my family's life, and that's why it's so important for me in my routine for those 2 hours when I get home. That's playtime and food time with the family. Do I still have this thing with me? I have it in my pocket in transparency just in case I got to put out a fire, and I do have to put out fires sometimes, all right? But that's why I bought my kids a Nintendo Switch for Christmas, because, hey, if I got to pop on a phone call real quick for 10 minutes, here you go, son. He's in love with Mario Kart. He's dominating all the levels, by the way. Okay, next thing, light work. Okay, kids go to bed. That's a mom and dad thing. That's a 50-50 thing. Morgan and I don't have this like, hey, you do this stuff. This is what moms do, and this is what dads do. We have 50-50 together. What do you need? Here's what I need from you. Okay, now what do you need? Let me reciprocate. Here's what I need from you. Good, let's do that. So we go upstairs. It's usually a divide and conquer. Morgan puts Ryan down. I get the big kids in their pajamas, and I go Max's room first, Cameron's room second, and then Morgan kind of follows me right in, and I warm them up, and she finishes them off, puts them to bed. And then I'm back downstairs right away. Morgan and I are either hanging out together or we kind of separate our ways. She's got some work to do. I got some work to do. And we'll do light work, okay? And we'll just prepare for the next day. I'm exhausted at this point, right? I'm not trying to get myself back into any deep work. It would be counterproductive. I wouldn't be able to execute well. And then right after that, we either read or watch for an hour. Okay, read or watch for an hour. That's a podcast. That's a book. Right now I'm reading John C. Maxwell's Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. That's a great book. I just read about 50 pages of it last night. And then we go to bed. And we're not rigid with bedtime. So I need at least 5 hours. That's just me. I'm not saying that's anybody else. Listen, I'm not going to preach sleep at all. Honestly, I don't care how much you sleep. What I care about is what you're doing when you're awake. That's what I care about. So if I'm sleeping 5 hours, don't judge me. Do you see this energy? I got this energy for days. I don't need that extra 3 hours of sleep for me to have energy. If I get 4 hours of energy, I'm like this. I wake up and we just go. My biomarkers are healthy. My blood work is super healthy. I'm off the charts. My bio age is younger than my actual age. Hey, there's no signs in my life that are pointing toward, hey, 5 hours of sleep is not enough for you. I actually feel optimized because I've been doing it for so long. If I get 8 hours of sleep, I feel exhausted the next day. If I get 3 hours of sleep or very light 5 hours, okay, and I'm like up and down and waking up constantly, then I'll feel exhausted too. But that 5 to 6 hour time frame for me closing my eyes, that's what I need. And everyone needs something different, okay? But what are you doing when you're awake? That's a great question to ask yourself. All right, let's see. That's about it, you guys. And then I would say this. The last thing I would say is my goal is to execute this at 100%. That's my goal. I want to chase perfection. Am I a perfectionist? No, I think the perfectionist is ultimately setting you up for a tragic disappointment if you call yourself a perfectionist. I am a person who is striving for perfection. Keyword being striving. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to try to align all my habits, all my rituals, all my routines toward that excellence to try to become the image of what that might look like if I was executing at a high level, which then lands me at about 90% execution. So as long as I'm 85, 90, 95% execution, some days 100, I feel super good about that. And it just all starts with what are you doing right when you get up in the morning, set the tone for the day, anticipate your day the night before, play that day over in your head before you go to sleep, right? And be able to marinate in that next day the night before. That's going to allow you to wake up and really attack the day. So attack your days, routines and rituals, they're always going to change. And you just got to watch it, keep a nice close watch, have that shadow version of yourself that's going to be able to help you analyze that they're sitting in the corner of the room watching your every move, and your life, your career, your relationships, your personal development, your routines, like I said, your money, your assets, all these things are going to start to level up. Why? Because you're leveling up. When you level up, when you get better, life gets better. If you don't get better, life doesn't get better. Leveling up means something different to everybody else. To me, it's consistency, more consistent than I've ever been in my life. And so that's my word for today, guys. Thank you for wondering about my routine. It's kind of weird, honestly, that people coming from humble beginnings, and I'm still somewhat uncomfortable with how successful we've become. And I say that in the most humble way. It's I'm still trying to understand why people care about my routine. But apparently people care about my routine. So this was it. This was the top to bottom. Hopefully I got micro enough for you. I didn't really go into food or water or some showering or dress or any of these little things, but I don't know. To me, it seems like you don't really need that. Unless you want it, I'll talk about it. I'm an open book. But thanks for being here, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It's Devan Klein, Burn Bootcamp Podcast, okay? And we are dropping an episode every single day, Monday through Monday. Make sure you flex on that subscribe button so you don't miss a darn thing. Until next time, I'll see you. 2 claps on 2, 1, 2.